Hello and welcome to another video in the Complete Web Dev series. And what we're working on in this chapter is JavaScript. JavaScript is going to be one of the most important languages that you learn, especially for web development. It's also one of the most diverse languages that you can learn as far as being able to use it in different scenarios. For example, I want to get you a little excited about JavaScript because JavaScript can be used on browsers. Obviously, that's what it was originally intended for, is written to run in a browser. But it can also be used to run servers now. So you can actually learn one language and write front end and back end. So using Node.js, you can run JavaScript as a server-side language. The other thing JavaScript can be used for is you can actually write desktop applications with JavaScript. So you used to only be able to write, like use C++ or C# or something like that to write desktop applications. You can use it to write mobile applications. So basically you can write Android and iOS applications using JavaScript. You can do game development with JavaScript. So with all these things, you could create all sorts of different projects. So JavaScript is a very, very diverse programming language to learn because it's implemented in so many different ways. Okay, so in this video, we are going to continue our discussion in JavaScript, and we're going to talk about conditional statements. And these conditional statements are basically going to be things like if else, and switch. Okay, so let's go through all of those in one video here. So I'm going to switch over to my camera. And let's just go ahead and set up a new video. Now, we didn't have a video or a new branch for v4. So we're just going to skip right to v5. And I'm going to do a get checkout -b, which will create a new branch from master. And I'm going to call this v5. Then I'm going to do a get push set upstream origin v5. All right, once we've done that, let's go ahead and open up a new file here in JavaScript, and we will call this v5.html. And then we will go ahead and do our emit shortcut here to add the HTML5 boilerplate. And then we're going to say conditional statements. All right, so what is a conditional statement? Well, first of all, let's open up some script tags here in HTML so that we can run some JavaScript. Let's say we have a variable called eyes, and eyes is going to be equal to blue, okay? And then let's say we have a variable called age, and this is going to be equal to 40. Well, conditional statements allow us to test different things and run code inside of the test if certain things are certain conditions are met. So we always need to have some sort of boolean that we're testing, which isn't difficult because we have so many different operators to use to make this boolean. So like, first of all, let's do something like this. Let's say if eyes, and then we'll use our double equals, so that will return a boolean of true or false. So if eyes are blue, and then we use curly brackets. Now, the structure, the syntax of an if statement here is you're going to write the word if, that's a keyword if, and then inside parentheses, you're going to put something that evaluates to a boolean. So it has to be true or false. In this case, it's going to take the variable and see if it's equal to blue. If whatever's in these parentheses evaluates to true, it will run whatever code you put inside of these curly brackets. The code will skip over everything in this if it evaluates to false. And so what we could do here is let's just do document.write, and we'll say your eyes are blue. Okay. And so let's go now and refresh, and I'm still on v3, so we need to actually go to v5.html, and I went to v35 somehow. You know, sometimes my keyboard doesn't keep up because it's the battery operated one. v5 takes a little bit to wake up. All right, so here we go, or my batteries may be getting weak. So it says your eyes are blue, and that's because that variable actually is blue. Now if I would change the value of this to brown and save this, then we're going to see nothing show up on the screen here, because when it gets to this if check, it says if eyes are blue, then do this. Okay, well, this didn't happen because basically this didn't happen because it skipped over this. Now if we wanted to run something in if this evaluates to false, we could do the if statement and we could do else like this. So you do the keyword else, and then you can do you could do curly brackets in here, and then we could say document.write your eyes are not blue. And then we could go back, save that, and refresh. And you can see that now it says your eyes are not blue. It doesn't say both of them because it evaluates this to false, because right now the eyes are brown. So what can happen is, let's say I don't want to run any code at all. Okay, I don't want to run any code at all if the eyes are blue. I just only want to run code if they're not blue. Well, in that case, you would write an if statement like this, where you would say, hey, you would evaluate that. So you would say if eyes. So instead of just doing an empty if statement, you would say if eyes are not equal to blue, then document.write your eyes are not blue. Okay, and if I save that, so if I don't want to do anything if their eyes are blue, then there's no reason for us to write this part of the if statement, and then we don't have to write this else. We just use the negative of this. So this this is checking. This is still going to return a Boolean of true or false, but it's going to say, hey, I want to know if eyes are not blue, return true. And that's what this will do. This will return true. So then we can go and run this, and what we're going to get here is your eyes are not blue, your eyes are not blue. Okay, because we have both of those there. And I just wanted to show that in case you run into a situation where you don't want to do something on the if or the else, and in that case, then you use that. Now we have another option. We actually have, if you want to do an else, so if this is false, and then we want to do another check, you can do an else if here, and you can say, hey, else if eyes are equal to brown, then I want to say your eyes are brown. And then we could do an else, we could chain as many of these want together. We could do another one and say else if eyes are green, then we do document.write your eyes are green. And then at the very end we could do an else, and we could say, hey, if none of these, if this doesn't evaluate to true, this doesn't evaluate to true, this doesn't evaluate to true, what else do you want to do? And we could do a document.write and say your eye color is unique, something like that. So we go and refresh now. It says your eyes are brown, but if I change this, if my eyes are, let's see, what other colors are there? Blue, brown, green. I guess there's hazel, but that's kind of green and brown back and forth. Let's see. I feel really dumb right now. Let's just say your eyes are completely black. Then it'll say your eye color is unique. Okay, and so that is how you can use an if statement, an else statement, or an if else statement. Okay, those are called conditional statements. Now, there's another type of conditional statement that we can use, and we can actually, it's called a switch statement. Now, a switch statement isn't used quite as often, and for some reason people tend to not like this, but there is definite use case for a switch statement. So to set up a switch statement is going to be very similar to the if statement where it has the keyword switch and then some parens and then open and closing curly brackets. But what we do in a switch statement, instead of evaluating something right inside of here, we just tell it what we're going to be evaluating. So in this case, let's evaluate age. Okay, so we don't give it a condition here. We pass age into the switch statement. And then what we can do, excuse me, is we could do cases inside of here. So what you do is you type case, and then you could say, hey, if age, case, well, this is a bad example. You know what, let's get rid of age altogether. And let's just use eyes again. So this is another way to do this. So we'll say if eyes, and then you do a case and you say blue, and then you'll do just a regular colon, and you'll skip down and you'll say if it's blue, then we're going to do something like, we can set a new variable, or we can just say, you know, we'll do a console log blue, and then what we'll do is we'll say break. Okay, and break, what it'll do is the break keyword, and we're going to look at it more in our loop discussion, but break will just, when it reaches here, it's going to break out of the switch statement. It's going to no longer check any other cases in here. But what we can do is we can keep doing more of these, and we could write this like this. So then case brown, console log brown, break, case green, my stupid thing, console log green. Now this isn't a very useful application that we're writing here, but this will demonstrate the syntax. And then what we have is, if none of these are met, we actually, at the end of this, we can do a default. So if anything else hits, what do we want to do in the code here? And then we'll just say console log your eyes are rare. Okay, and then we'll do break. Okay, so now I'm going to save this, and let's go back and refresh and see what happens. Well, now it says that your eyes are rare because it makes it through all of these. But if eyes are blue, and we go back and refresh, then it says your eyes are blue, and then it console logs blue because of the switch statement. Now, why would you use, this is a little more complex and has more lines of code than doing it this way. Why would we ever use a switch case? Well, switch cases are actually really useful. So let's say that we want to do something if their eyes are any of these values. Well, then we could do something like this. We can actually start stacking cases together like this, where we say case brown. I really think my keyboard is giving out on me. And then we can say case green. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to console log you have common eye color. Okay, and then we'll break. And then what we'll do is get rid of all of these. And for the default, we're going to say, we're just going to leave your eyes are rare. Okay, so if I save that now and we go back, you can see that this is a pretty streamlined way to write this now, and now it says you have a common eye color. What we could also do is, if we did want to say your eyes are blue, we could use you know, our concatenation or a string literal here. So we could do something like console log your eyes are, I'll do a space, and then we concatenate on eyes here. And so now we'll have the same effect as we did earlier, where it says your eyes are blue. There's no reason to repeat all that code when we can just use the variable here, right? So how would this switch statement then look if we were to write the same exact case with an if statement? Well, it would look something like this. We would have to do an if, and we'll say if eyes are equal to blue, and then we'll have an or, eyes are equal to brown, or eyes are equal to green. Then we do whatever's in here. We could say console log your eyes are eyes, and then we could say else console log your eyes are rare. Now this, it still looks pretty clean compared to the switch statement. However, this is a very basic condition right here, and sometimes these conditions can get a little bit crazier, and this becomes a lot harder to read than this right here in the switch statement. So sometimes just keep this in the back of your mind. Like I said, switches are a lot more rare to use than an if and an else, but sometimes you can simplify your code a lot by using a switch statement. And so just keep this in the back of your mind and use this when appropriate. Okay? So I think that's it for this video, guys. I hope that makes sense, and I will see you guys in the next video, and we are going to continue our discussion in JavaScript. Peace out.